नमो अरिहन्ताणं नमो सिद्धाणं नमो आयर्याणं नमो उवज्झायाणं नमो लोहे सव्वसाहुणम्
नमो लोहे सव्वसाहुणम्
एषो पञ्चणमुक्कारो सव्वपावपणासनो मङ्गलानञ्चे सव्वेशी पढमम हवै मङ्गलम्
नमो 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 नमो
नमो अरिहन्ताणं नमो सिद्धाणम्.
Jaina vestiges in the form of caves, caverns and stone beds in South Tamilnadu are hallowed with the sacred memories of the Nirgrantha Munis. They slept on those stone beds, meditated in the open caves and partook food once in 8 days and some once in a month. They ate from their palms, pani patra offered by the householders standing on their feet. They never stayed in one place and strayed everywhere by walking only. Those ascetic abodes are empty, but remind one of the glorious and sacred atmosphere. They are permitted to stay in one place only for 4 months during the rainy season, July to October, called Chaturmas, Varsh Yoga. This rainy season retreat gave opportunities for the Shravaks and Muni Sangh to pursue agamic studies. Such a glorious past is enlivened and demonstrated by the visiting Acharya 108 Sri Devanandi Muni Maharaj Sangh in Chennai. Muni Sangh undertook Varsh Yoga, a rare opportunity in Tamil Nadu. Varsh Yoga generally ceremoniously inaugurated with flag hoisting and Kalash Thapana. A 3-tiered special Kalash is filled with rice. Digambar Jain Muni never shaved their head. They plucked their hair with their fist, again in a ceremonious manner called Kesh Lochan. Partaking of food in standing posture in their palms is called Ahar Dhan. Jain householders are supposed to offer 4 dhanas: Abhay Dhan, Ahar Dhan, Aushad Dhan and Shastra Dhan. These dhanas generally do not induce avarice in the recipient. Nirgrantha Muni tradition with large number of Digambars, naked saints, is a living tradition in North India. One such Sangh undertook to holy vihara under the Acharyaship of Pujya Sri Devanandi Muni Maharaj. Rainy season retreat inaugurated by Sri M.K. Jain by hoisting the flag. Jainism, the oldest living religion of mankind, flourished in Tamil country and is hallowed with sacred memories of the scholarly Jaina monks, Acharyas Ajnandi, Vajranandi, Kunasena Deva, Gunabhadra, Iracharya Kundakunda, Swami Samantabhadra, Akalanka, Samaya Divakara Vamana, Pushpadanta and other Jaina ascetics. The antiquity of Jainism in Tamil country is attested by the inscriptional and literary evidences. Historians believe that Jainism spread to Lanka through Tamil Nadu. Though the historians assign 3rd century BC as the earliest date of presence of Jainism in Tamil Nadu, Jains believe that their religion in this part of peninsular India is much older than that date. Valmiki, in his Ramayana, refers to the Jain Munis to whom Lord Rama paid obeisance on his way to the south. Present-day studies place Ramayana to the 8th century BC. So, the theory that Jainism was introduced into Tamil country during 2nd century BC, based on the available Jaina inscriptions, has to be re-examined. More than 550 inscriptions with Jaina association have been found from the caves, stone beds and pottery shreds. Jain Munis and nuns were venerated by the local population. Sramana Munis like Acharyas Ajanandi, Mahanandi, Gunasena Deva, Harachandra Deva and others were responsible for revival and proselytization. The maximum number of sites and inscriptions are from the Madurai region. There are hundreds of such Jaina monuments spread throughout Tamilnadu, and in most of these areas like Madurai, Tirunelveli, Pudukkottai, Coimbatore and Trichy, there are no ancient Tamil Jain families living. Bharatavarshiya Digambar Jain Tirtha Samrakshini Mahasabha is making fervent efforts for the fullest possible video documentation of these heritage sites. This documentary is about the Jaina centers, relics and ruins in South Tamil Nadu, particularly erstwhile Madurai, Pudukkottai and Tirunelveli districts. While the southern Tamil Nadu is full of monuments, the North Tamil Nadu includes more than 100 Jain temples with Dravidian architecture under worship. Mangulam Kalugumalai is adjoining Meenakshipuram village in Madurai. Like most other archaeological sites of importance for Jain history in Tamil Nadu, you walk through this tough terrain and you climb rocks to reach the caves that were occupied by the Jain Munis 2 centuries before Christ. Once inside the cave, we find the rocks have been cut to form stone beds with built-in pillow-like structures for them to take rest. The inscriptions here are the oldest extant inscriptions about the Jaina presence in Tamil Nadu, dating to the 2nd century BC. They are in Brahmi script in Tamil. One inscription talks about the Pandya king Nedunjariyan of the Sangam period and his support to the Jain Munis. Another set of caves, about 20 kilometers from Madurai, belong to the same period at Varichiyur on Udayagiri hills. These caves also belong to the 2nd century BC with several Brahmi script inscriptions. There are about 30 stone beds in the Varichiyur caves. One of these caves in Varichiyur has apparently been converted into a Murugan temple in later years. These caves have what are known as drip ledges to carry the rainwater without flooding the caves from above. Tiruvadavur is well known in the history of Tamil Nadu as the birthplace of the Shaiva saint Manikkavasakar. This is about 25 kilometers from Madurai. Today there is hectic quarrying in the hills at Tiruvadavur with modern quarrying equipment. There are 2 more Jain caves of antiquity with inscriptions of the 2nd century BC near the quarry. The 2 caves are in upper and lower levels at Tiruvadavur. There are 3 Jain caves in Vikramangalam in the Nagamalai range of hills. There are 5 stone beds in the upper level here. There are 4 more stone beds at a cave on the lower level. Inscriptions on the stone beds are indicative of probably pre-Christian or early Christian era when these caves were occupied by the Jain Munis. The paths to these caves are slippery and almost inaccessible. A 3rd cave is a much smaller cave like a single room with a single stone bed, which was probably occupied by the leader of the group of Munis. There is an inscription on the brow of this small cave. This cave site in particular in Vikramangalam faced the danger of extinction due to quarrying. However, timely intervention has stopped the quarrying activity and saved this historic site. In contrast to this tiny cave, there is a huge cave in Mettupatti village near Anaipatti, popularly known as Siddharmalai. The entrance to this cave is 297 feet long. Like several other caves of this period, this was also declared a protected monument in 1904 by a British magistrate of the area. The inscriptions here on the stone pillow loft of the 10 stone beds are datable to the 2nd and 1st century BC. The inscription engraved on the brow of the cave clearly indicates that it was occupied by the Digambara Jain monks. The Jain monk is called as Amanan, and the inscription refers to Madurai, the modern Madurai city. Let us move on to a cart road on the Melur-Tirupattur road. We are now on the way to Valavu. This hill, popularly known as Panchapandavar Malai, has several large boulders. A cave has formed on all the sides of a large boulder which touches the floor in the middle. This cave was apparently in occupation for several centuries. While the earlier caves had only stone beds and inscriptions, this cave has 5 sculptures of Tirthankaras. As we further move to caves that were occupied in later centuries, we find more and more sculptures and ornamentation. An interesting feature is that this cave is known as Palli, meaning school. Most Jain caves of further periods have got the name of Samana Palli, meaning Jain school. It has been a reasonable hypothesis that the Jain Munis were probably the earliest in Tamilnadu to conduct some kind of a school where students learnt special subjects, including philosophy. Thus the word Palli, originally meaning a Jain institution, has come to mean any school in the Tamil language. As we move along the centuries, we reach Alagarmalai, which is about 24 kilometers from Madurai on the Melur road. It is again a steep climb. Once near the cave, we realize that this is a 60 feet long cave with a height of 20 feet in the center. This ancient Palli has a spring in one corner. There are some inscriptions engraved at an inaccessible height. There are 13 Tamil Brahmi inscriptions of the 2nd century BC which reveal the names of different craft persons. Obviously, this cave was in use for over 1,000 years. For a little below the cavern, there is a Tirthankara image, probably of the 9th century AD. There are also inscriptions in Vattezhuthu, which is a later-day Tamil script than the earlier Brahmi script. One inscription records the name of Jain preceptor Ajanandi. About 50 kilometers from Madurai, in another direction, we drive towards Karungalakudi. There are several caves here at a height one above the other. This site has also been apparently occupied and active for several centuries. There is a relatively larger Tirthankara bas-relief on a big boulder by the side of the cavern. The inscription below the sculpture reveals that Acharya Ajanandi was instrumental in creating this sculpture in the 9th century AD. There are also instruments like a mortar carved out of stone, indicating that the monks were preparing herbal medicines. At Perumal Kovil Malai near the Madurai University is the village called Kongar Puliyangulam. There is a boulder rock with caverns with more than 50 stone beds. The inscriptions inform us about the donations of people who took care of the Jain monks. On a rock at a lower level from the cave is a bold relief sculpture of a Tirthankara seated in Padmasana. The inscription records that this sculpture was caused to be made under instructions from Acharya Ajanandi, showing a connectivity of the different Jain Pallis during the 9th century, which were apparently under the influence of this Acharya. We find that Acharya Ajanandi caused another Tirthankara sculpture to be made in Arittapatti. Arittapatti is on the Trichy highway in the area now known as Kalinjamalai. The Brahmi inscriptions indicate the antiquity of the place, while the Tirthankara sculpture with later Vattezhuthu inscriptions show that they belong to the 10th century. The Tirthankara sculpture, as well as the lamps on either side, retains a reasonable amount of the original paint. There is also a painted lotus base in the sculpture. On the trail of the Jain sculptures, south of Madurai on the Kambam road, we reach Samanamalai. The very name indicates a hillock of the Jains. There is a lotus tank and an Ayyanar temple at the foothills. By the side of the temple wall, well laid out steps on 2 sides of the hill take us to 3 Jain places of worship. The oldest of these is Mahadevi Perumpalli. we witness vestiges of a structured temple. There are Tamil and Kannada inscriptions of the 9th century. On the dilapidated pillars of the old temple, 2 Dwarapalaka sculptures of this old structure have survived, now as the Dwarapalakas of the Ayyanar temple at foothills. One Tirthankara sculpture of Vrishabhaswami has also survived, which is installed in the Ayyanar temple and is being worshipped as Virumappasamy by the local people. The second place of worship in Samanamalai is Pechipallam. There are 8 Jain sculptures here. 4 Parshvanada, a Bahubali, besides those of 3 other Tirthankaras. Another set of steps behind the Ayyanar temple lead you to Sreshtipodavu, meaning the cave of the Jain merchants. The name has got corrupted over the centuries as Chettipodavu. The name is derived from the fact that the Jain merchants donated for the creation of the sculptures in this cave. There is a Tirthankara sculpture about 8 feet in height, chiseled on a rock face in an inaccessible height. The 9th century inscription below this gives credit for this creation to Abhinanda Bhattarar. Inside the cave there are 3 sculptures of Tirthankaras and of Yakshis. This hill on a diversion in the Madurai-Trichy highway superficially resembles an elephant couching on the ground. Hence people call it the Aanai Malai, meaning the elephant's hill. Once we walk up and reach the top of the hill, we get an aerial view of a Shiva temple at the foot of the hills. At the summit of the hill is a natural cavern with stone beds and Brahmi inscription of the 1st century. There are sculptures at the entrance of the cave with inscriptions indicating that they belong to the 9th and 10th centuries. One of these bas-reliefs is that of Bahubali. Another, that of Neminatha, the 22nd Tirthankara. A third, that of Parshvanada, and the others of other Tirthankaras besides sculptures of Yakshis. The fact that they were once plastered and painted is apparent from the remnants. Opposite Madurai Kamaraj University is a hill range called Karadipatti Perumal Malai. As we climb these rocks on this hill range at Muttupatti, we reach yet another Jain cavern with stone beds which are locally referred to as Panjavar Padukkai, implying that the beds are of the Pancha Pandavas. Like several other examples, here is a settlement that was in use for probably 1000 years, for we find bas-relief sculptures on top of the entrance to the caves. Witnessing the sun and the showers of a millennium, all these sculptures of Tirthankaras were consecrated in the 9th century by Jain monks Kanagavira Periya Adigal and Mahanandi. Tiruparangundram, another suburb of Madurai city, is popular for its Murugan temple. It was an ancient Jain center that flourished between 2nd century BC and 13th century AD. At a higher point on this hill is a natural cavern with stone beds. One of the inscriptions here indicates contact between this center and Sri Lanka during the 1st century AD. As we walk up Tiruparangundram hills, there is a natural spring and a boulder. The boulder has 3 Jain sculptures and inscriptions which are now enclosed inside the Palaniyandavar temple. Further up on the hill on the way to the Kashi Vishwanadhar temple, at an inaccessible height on this rock, there are 2 sculptures datable to the 9th and 10th centuries. Another Jain cave temple on the south side of Tiruparangundram was converted as a Shiva temple by the name Umayandavar Koil. An inscription shows that when one Prasanna Deva converted from Jainism to Shaivism, he also converted this into a Shiva temple in the 13th century. Among the most known sculptures of the Jain period in Tamilnadu are those of Uttamapalayam at Karupannaswamy Kundru, about 120 kilometers southwest of Madurai. On the face of this hillock, there is a panel of 19 Jain sculptures, mostly belonging to the 9th century AD. This extraordinarily beautiful panel is now protected by a mandap built by the Archaeological Survey of India to prevent damage to the sculptures. These images were consecrated by the great ascetics including Ajanandi and Arishtanemi. Some of these sculptures show traces of painting which is now lost. There is a perennial spring below this panel. This hillock, Poigai Malai, is in the village Paramapatti near Sedapatti. A flight of steps leads to a cave and 9 Jain images. Due to continuous smearing of oil with vermilion, the images are not clear. Out of the 9 images, one represents the Kamada episode in the life of the 23rd Tirthankara Parshvanatha. This Jain center came up in the post-Sangha period. An inscription datable to the 9th century AD is much mutilated. Puttur Malai in Puttur near Usilampatti has an interesting story. Here is a panel of 4 images of Jaina Tirthankaras. On the extreme left is a standing image and the other 3 are seated. One of the images with serpent hood above the head is that of the 23rd Tirthankara Parshvanatha. The 3 seated images are worshipped by the local people as Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. They have also disfigured the Jaina images with moustache, tilak and eyebrows. Madurai area is noted for early Jaina monuments in the form of caves and Tamil Brahmi inscriptions. One can trace the development of structural temples also in Madurai area. At Kovilangulam, near Aruppukkottai, a Jain temple called Ambalappasamy temple was built. Now you can see only the basement of this temple with inscription and 2 images placed over it. Local people worship the images and smear them with sandal paste and vermilion. The inscriptions inform that some lands for a temple site and a watershed for the use of Jaina devotees were given. The Tirthankara is referred as Mukkudayar, one with tri-umbrella, in the inscription datable to 1118 AD, that is 12th century AD. The popular Pandi temple in the suburb of Madurai city has a Jaina image with its head changed into local god Pandi Muni. Pudukkottai district is equally rich in Jaina monuments. Here we have caves, stone beds, Tamil Brahmi inscriptions and ruins of a number of structural temples. Sittanavasal is a small village, 12 kilometers from Pudukkottai and is known globally for its fresco paintings. It is an important ancient Jain site in Tamilnadu with history from 1st century BC to 10th century AD. The Jaina vestiges at Sittanavasal includes the Arivar Koil, the temple of Sarvajnan, the all-knowing Tirthankar, and the Yeradi-Pattam, the natural cavern with polished stone beds inscribed with Tamil Brahmi inscription of the 1st century BC. Arivar Koil belongs to the 9th century AD with its mural paintings of the Jaina theme Samavasarana, royal couple and dancing apsaras. There is a pillared veranda built in the 20th century and Ardhamandapam leading to sanctum where 3 images represent Moolavar. In Ardhamandapa on the southern niche is the image of Lord Parshvanatha and on northern niche is the image of a Jaina Acharya. The ceiling, the walls, the beams, the cornice and the pillars of the Ardhamandapam bear the famous Sittanavasal paintings. Now paintings are seen only in the parts of the ceilings, the beams and upper parts of the pillars. These paintings depicted themes of Samavasarana, a celestial stadium for Tirthankaras preaching, the Apsaras, dancing damsels and the royal couple. Most of these are just in outline. The portraits of the Apsaras must rank among the best in the whole of India. The Yeradi-Pattam is the name of the natural cavern in the top center of the hill on the eastern side. Inside the cave is spacious with floor cut into 17 beds with pillow loft. Almost all the stone beds are inscribed. The oldest inscription in Tamil Brahmi script belongs to the 1st century BC and the latest to 10th century AD. As we move away from Sittannavasal, the road leads to Annavasal, a nearby village. Near the tank, there is a large and exquisitely carved loose sculpture. It should have been worshipped in one of the ruined temples nearby. The face is scrapped. All the 5 Adisayas, Mukkudai, the triple umbrella, Ashoka tree, Prabhavalaya, Chamara and the lion throne are beautifully depicted. In Sadayarparai near Pudukkottai area, Tirukogaranam, a Tirthankara sculpture and a dated inscription are seen. The sculpture is that of the 23rd Tirthankara, Lord Parshvanatha. Here he is flanked by the Pillayar and a veil in front of them. The inscription cut on the open rock has a border cut on all sides. It is dated 1217 AD and refers to Tengavinattu Perumpalli, the large Palli. The Jain Tirthankara is worshipped as Sadayarparai Muni by the local people. Other Jain centers that tell their stories through the inscriptions are in Narthamalai area, Alurti Malai, Ammachatram, Kannangarakudi, Mailapatti, Sembattur, Puttamur, Veerakudi, Mosakudi and Chettipatti. In Narthamalai area, a broken sculpture is seen with a broken upper part nearby and a veil is fixed in the front. It shows that it was worshipped by the local people. In Kadamba hill on the rock, there is an inscription of Pandya dynasty dated to the 12th century AD that tells about Jain Palli, the Tirupalli Malai and the Tirthankara as Tirupalli Malai Arwar. In the Alurti Malai, tall barren hill, there is a cleft in the middle and the 2 Tirthankara sculptures are seen. In Ammachatram and Kannangarakudi, there are 2 exquisitely carved sculptures. In the Kannangarakudi sculpture, the chamaras are unique in that the hairs are shown separately. Jaina ascetics select secluded rocky terrain as their abodes from where they can have a panoramic view. One such place is at Mailapatti. The hillock is called Karupparmalai. This Jain site was noted for the structural temple, but only the ruins remain now. Basement of the temple with inscriptions and a broken Jaina image. Sembattur Jain site is noted for its lion pillars. This village had temples for Jina, Shiva and Vishnu. But today, Shiva temple alone is seen. All the 3 were close to one another. The Jain temple, datable to 10th century AD, wore a deserted look with 2 idols of Tirthankara and Dharmadevi and a few lion pillars. It is believed that the pillars and other parts of this temple were used in the nearby village for Shiva temple. The fate of the Jain temple is also shared by the Vishnu temple. Only the idols of Vishnu with consorts Bhudevi and Sridevi are seen in the nearby garden. The Mottai Pillayar Koil refers to roofless, dilapidated Jain temple at Puttamur. Today the temple site has only 2 sculptures, one of them half-finished with decorative paneling. Veerakudi and Mosakudi each boast of their hoary past with sculptures of Jaina Tirthankar and Yakshi. At Veerakudi, there is a lonely idol in a place called locally Samanar Medu. It is a tradition in Tamil country to refer to the Jain sites as Panchavar Padukkai, beds of Panchapandavas, Samanar Medu and Samanar Kundu and Samanar Tidal. These Medus and Tidals, if excavated carefully, may yield more antiques. At Mosakudi, there should have existed a magnificent temple. It is surmised, based on the Jaina sculptures collected from this place, a few in the Pudukkottai Museum and 3 of them in the village. 2 of them are standing Tirthankaras in Kayotsarga posture and the 3rd one is Dharmadevi idol. The Ottai Kovil, meaning the dilapidated temple at Chettipatti, speaks a lot about the atrocities unleashed on the Jain temples in Pudukkottai area. The Jain site with ruined temple is referred to as Samanar Kund. On the base of the temple there is an inscription of the 10th century characters. It mentions the name of Dayapalan and Vadirajar, the disciples of Madhisagara Acharya. The ruins indicate that the temple should have been a large one with exquisite architecture. In the Pudukkottai Museum, a few sculptures from the various Jaina sites and bronzes recovered from the Raja's College site were preserved. The extreme south of the peninsula comes under erstwhile Tirunelveli district. This southernmost area is rich in Jaina monuments. The monuments are in the form of caves, inscriptions and structural temples converted into Hindu places of worship. Bhagavati temple at Chitral, known in ancient records as Tirucharanathumalai, Hill of Charanars, Jain Munis. In the face of the rock called Tungupare, the hanging rocks, there is an exquisite panel of Jaina sculptures. The cave temple with carved pillars with remnants of stucco lion thrones for Tirthankaras are seen. This Jain center was a congregation center for Jaina ascetics during the 9th century AD. The lithic records in the reign of the Pandya king Varaguna speak about the Jaina acharyas from far-off places like Tirunarankondai near Ulundurpet in Viduppuram district who caused to carve the Jaina images. The significant and important feature unknown in any other centers is the participation of a large number of Jaina nuns, Kurattiyars, in the theological and sociological activities. Some of the interesting sculptures present the Kamada episode in Bhagavan Parshvanatha's 23rd Tirthankara's life and Yakshi Dharmadevi. Another important Jain center is the Nagarkoil and the Nagaraja temple. The inscriptions in this temple indicate that it was originally a Jain temple, a palli managed by Gunavira Pandita and Kamalavagana Pandita. At Melparai there is a hillock where a panel of 8 Tirthankara sculptures is seen. It seems to be an attempt to carve a panel as in Kalugumalai. Yerwadi, while recently, came notorious due to the tragic death of chained persons in a mental asylum. It was an active Jain center during the 8th century AD. The Pandya inscription here tells about the arrangements made for protecting 2 Jaina pallis by the Papa Chandrar of Kilcheri. The rock called Irattai Pottai has sculptures of Tirthankaras and inscriptions below them. The cave is used by the people for a local deity without an idol. One of the inscriptions mentions the name of the champion of Jaina Renaissance in the 8th century AD, Acharya Ajanandi. Acharya Ajanandi is referred to in most of the lithic records of the southern Tamil country. In Singikulam, the Bhagavati temple preserves the inscriptions that tell about the Jaina association. The Jaina Palli at this center was called Nyaya Paripala Perumpalli, which thrived during the 12th century AD. The image of this Palli is called Yanakku Nalla Nayakar, my Supreme Lord. Other nearby ancient Jain centers with Jaina vestiges are Kuttalam, Paradesi Podavu, Shankaranmalai, Marukal Thalai with Tamil Brahmi inscription. The Poolankurchi, where the inscription tells about the Jaina structural temples as Devakulam and Tapatapalli. It is an important record of the earliest of any structural temple in Tamilnadu. Another important ancient and extant Jain center is Kalugumalai. It was an active center during the 7th to the 9th centuries AD. Jaina monks and nuns from different corners and far-off places in Tamil Nadu caused to carve a magnificent panel of Jaina sculptures of Tirthankaras, Yaksha Yakshi, and episodes from the life story of the Tirthankaras. As the bird flies, Kalugumalai, meaning the Vulture Hills, is about 120 kilometers from Madurai. Well, since we do not actually fly but climb the hill, it is quite a steep climb. The face of the cave was transferred into an array of more than 150 images of the Jain Tirthankaras and attendant deities. The sculptures are in 3 tiers, carved out of a wide space above the main cave. There are large images of Tirthankaras in the Kayotsarga posture as well as the Padmasana posture in the lower tier. The most renowned of these sculptures are those of Lord Parshvanatha and Padmavati, who is the Yakshi of Parshvanatha. All the 72 Tirthankaras of the past, present and future are portrayed here in these bas-relief sculptures. There are more than 100 label inscriptions that mention the names of donors and preceptors responsible for the carving of the images. An unique feature of this Jain center is the mention of nearly 20 lady preceptors with suffix Kurattigal. This center served as a congregation center for Jains from different parts of Tamilnadu. A part of the Jaina panel of this hill occupied by the devotees of Ayyanar, a local deity. They were conducting animal sacrifice in front of the champions of Ahimsa who preached against animal sacrifice. Till recently, due to strict implementation of Anti-Animal Sacrifice Act in the vicinity of all temples, it was stopped. But now the relaxed state rule emboldened the Ayyanar devotees to kill goats in front of the panel of champions of non-killing. So much for the religious sentiment of the minority Samanars, the Jains. When we move towards the north, from here one comes across living Jainism. Yes, it is in this region generally referred to as Tondai Nadu, Tondai Mandalam. Ancient Tamil-speaking Jain families are living. Here one can see the Jaina caves with stone beds, Tamil Brahmi inscriptions, cave temples, loose sculptures, structural temples with painting and Jaina mutts. Tondai Mandalam includes the erstwhile South Arcot, North Arcot and Chengalpattu districts. The ancient Jain temple at Tirunarangondai near Ulundurpet on the Chennai-Tiruchi National Highway was the main Jain center of this region. Here one can see the cave with stone beds and inscriptions, structural temples dedicated to Lord Parshvanatha, locally known as Appandainatha, and Lord Chandranatha, the 8th Tirthankara. The natural rocks with cave-like space were modelled into structural temples. They are referred to as Melaipalli, Western Temple, and Kilaipalli, Eastern Temple. Tirunarangondai is the extant ancient Jain pilgrimage and Prarthana center. It is of historical importance. Here existed the Veera Sangha, an important Jaina Sangha. The names of ascetics of this center figure in the inscriptions at the southernmost Jain centers like Chitral, Kalugumalai and Aivarmalai. There are a number of ancient Jaina sites and relics surrounding Tirunarangondai. There is a hill near Tyaga Durgam. Near the top of the hill, there is a big cave with stone beds and sculptures of Tirthankara and Dharmadevi, the Yakshi. Today it is taken over by local Hindus and they converted the caves into a Durga temple plastering over the stone beds. Dharmadevi is worshipped as Durga, a Hindu goddess. The Tirthankara sculpture is venerated as that of a saint. One such Jain site with Tamil Brahmi inscription dated in the 1st century AD is Jambai. Here in the cave is single-line Tamil Brahmi inscription. It tells about the Palli donated by Adiyaman Nedumananji. Near Jambai, another ancient Jain center, Cholapandipuram, in the outskirts of the village is a hilly area referred to as Andimalai. Here there are caves with stone beds, bas-reliefs, inscriptions and some loose sculptures. The inscriptions pinpoint to the antiquity of this Jain center. Siddhavadavan, Chedi chief and a vassal of Chola dynasty has endowed villages for the upkeep of the Jaina Palli. This lithic record, dated in 952 AD, mentions the name of a Jaina pontiff, Gunavira Bhattara of Kurandi, an extinct Jain center near Madurai in South Tamilnadu. The lines of the inscriptions look as if they are under-ruled. These lines resemble the Kora mat, hence locally called Rock of Kora mat. As one moves on the track of Jaina center comes the district headquarters Vidupuram. In the radius of 20 kilometers, there are a number of Jaina villages and Jaina vestiges. One such place is the Male Kudalur hills, called by Jains as Tirunandigiri and Yennayiramalai, a hill of 8,000s. There are 35 stone beds and a few inscriptions. The inscriptions belong to the Chola and Pallava periods. An earliest record is dated 935 AD. A Jaina pontiff, Vartamana Periya Adigal's name is mentioned in the inscription. A bas-relief of Lord Parshvanatha with an attendant is seen in the face of one of the big boulders. The Lord is called Tirumani Kovil Tevar. In one of the inscriptions, we come across a donation of 700 sheep for getting the ghee required to light a perpetual lamp in front of the Avaniti Latadeva, Lord Parshvanatha. Further survey of Jaina centers leads one to Tindivanam Taluk area, where there are a large number of Jaina relics and structural temples still under worship. The structural temples in Perumundur are ancient. This village is referred to in the inscription as Perumandai Parputtur. There are two temples in this village, one dedicated to Bhagavan Adishwara, the first Tirthankara, and the other to Lord Chandranatha, the eighth Tirthankara. Lord Chandranatha temple is being renovated on a large scale. Two Nirgrantha Munis have camped here and guided the renovation. They have observed the Keshalochana ceremony. The lithic records include the inscription of the Nandivarman II, dated 866 AD, and a number of records of Chola and Sambhuvaraya chiefs. Jaina pontiff Mallisena Periya Adigal figures in the inscription at Aivarmalai near Padani in Dindikkal district. Jaina temple is called Ravikula Sundara Perumpalli. Anantamangalam, a village about 12 kilometers from Perumandur, boasts of a small Jaina cave, inscriptions and sculptures. On the face of the rock in the entrance of the cave, there is a panel of sculptures representing Tirthankara in Padmasana and Kayotsarga postures. The lithic records call this site as Jinagiripalli and refer the name of the Jaina pontiff Vartamana Periya Adigal, who arranged for feeding of the devotee by donating 5 Kalanju gold. It is dated 944 AD during Parandaga Chola's 35th regnal year. The sculpture of Ambika Yakshi, the Dharmadevi, is exquisitely carved. In the northeast direction of Tindivanam, at a distance of about 20 kilometers, is the village Achippakam. There is a hillock on the outskirts of the village with a rock-cut sculpture depicting the Kamada episode in the life of Lord Parshvanatha, the 23rd Tirthankara. The sculptural style indicates the presence of Jainism during 9th century AD. Achippakam is near the Jaina village Peravur, where there is a structural temple and Jain families are living. Now we move to the west of Tindivanam on the Tindivanam-Sinji road. At about the 30th kilometer is the religious headquarters of Tamil Jain community, the Male Sittamur. This village near Sinji is called Simmapuri in old records. There are 2 temples and a mutt. One of the temples, the oldest, is called Mallinadar temple. It is referred to as Kattampalli in the Chola inscription of Aditya I, datable to 888 AD. Mallinadar temple consists of Sanctum Sanctorum, the Garbhagriha, front Mandapam, the Mukha Mandapam, and on the west another Mandapam. A compound wall encloses these structures. There is a Gopura in the entrance and Vimana above the Garbhagriha. The Garbhagriha consists of a naturally occurring rock on the face of which images of Lord Parshvanatha, Lord Bahubali, Lord Neminatha, Lord Adinatha and Yakshi Dharmadevi are sculpted. The naturally occurring rock with sculptures was extended into a typical temple. The second temple, Lord Parshvanatha temple, was built in the 12th century AD. It has the largest Garbhagriha among the Jain temples in Tamilnadu. The temple includes Garbhagriha, Ardhamandapa, Mukhamandapa, Neminatha and Dharmadevi. The sculpture of Neminatha has the 16th century art style. It is supposed to have been brought from the Jain temple of Mylapore in Chennai. The Dharmadevi sculpture from the Mylapore temple is kept in the Peramundur temple. Parshvanatha temple received a number of land grants and endowments from the Chola and Vijayanagara rulers through their vassals, the Nayaks. Car festival on the Mahavir Jayanti day is the special feature of this temple. It has the separate Kalasthapana Mandapam with 2 elephant sculptures and a flight of steps. The Jain Mutt is called Jinakanchi Jain Mutt. The Mathadipati has the title Swasthi Sri Lakshmi Sena Bhattaraka Bhattacharya Varya Swamigal. The elevation of Mutt building is typical and is built in 1915. From the Mackenzie records, it is known that this mutt was established in the 16th century AD by the Veerasena Acharya of Uppuvelur. There is a rich collection of palm scripts in the mutt library. It includes agamic and literary works of yester centuries. Many of them are not readable and beyond repair. The head of the mutt looks after the religious and social requirements of the Tamil Jain society. He holds a peacock feather called Pincha. He is supposed to initiate Jaina boys and girls into the religious life by a ceremony called Upadesha. He supervises the lands, agriculture and other connected activities. The records indicate the mutt owned lands in more than 50 villages, but the financial status of the mutt today is not satisfactory. The Sinji region in Viduppuram district belonged to ancient Singapuri Nadu. Today in the outskirts of Sinji there is a place called Singavaram, a corrupt form of Singapuram. The hillock is called Tirunadar Kundru. On the eastern face of a conical shaped boulder, the figures of the 24 Tirthankaras are carved. It is the Sallekana site fast unto death Nisithi of 2 ascetics, Chandranandi and Ilaya Bhattara. It is known from the 5th century Tamil Brahmi and 10th century Tamil inscriptions found here. It is the earliest Tamil inscription. The Sinji area is noted for its hills and hillocks. There are 2 more places with Jaina caves and inscriptions. Parayampattu, a village about 30 kilometers north of Sinji, has a Nisithi inscription and a stone bed. It is a Vatteluthu inscription datable to the 5th and 6th century AD. It tells that one Aradhan, disciple of Vachanandi, fasted unto death. The cave and the stone bed are different from other caves. In other caves, there will be more stone beds and are meant for stay of the ascetics. Here, the cave is meant for fast unto death. Nehanurpatti is another Jain site with cave, stone bed and inscription. It is in the northeastern direction of Sinji at a distance of about 20 kilometers. Near the lake, there is a hillock called Adukkan Kalkundru, a hillock of staked rocks. The inscription is a Tamil Brahmi inscription. It tells about the Palli donated by one Chekkanti of Perumpogai, a Jain village nearby. Sittamur is surrounded by a number of villages with a large number of Jain families. One such village is Agalur. It is one of the villages that retains the name even after a lapse of 2000 years. There are inscriptions belonging to the Pallava period in this village dated to the 8th century AD. Present-day temple exhibits 16th century art style. Probably the original temple of the Pallava period underwent repeated renovation. Agalur is well connected with the Jain Mutt at Sittamur. Another Jaina center of antiquity next and close to Agalur is Tondur. There is a Brahmi inscription in the cave dated 1st century BC. It refers to the stone bed donation by the people of Agalur to a Jaina monk by name Sengasippan. There are 3 stone beds in the cave. In addition to this, there are 2 more inscriptions in the village datable to the 10th century AD. In one of them, Tondur temple is referred to as Varuva Mori Perumpalli Vilagam. In the northern boundary of the Vidupuram district and 20 kilometers from Vandavasi is one of the earliest pallis for Jaina nuns. It is in the village of Vedal, referred to as Vidar Penpalli. This center is called Madevi Arandi Mangalam. A Jaina nun, Kanagavira Korattiyar, presided over this palli. There are 2 lithic records. Pallava inscriptions belong to Nandivarman II in 745 AD, and the other one is Chora record datable to 885 AD belonging to Aditya I. This palli, exclusively for the nuns, near the natural cave, consists of a mandapam enclosing a big boulder. It is known as Andar Madam and seems to be a unique establishment with more than 900 nuns. From here one can reach Tirakol, another Jain center hallowed with royal support. This center is referred to as Dandapuram and later as Rajakesaripuram. There are 6 lithic records, 5 Chora and 1 Pallava, dated to the 10th century AD and 12th century AD respectively. Here we can see rock-cut sculptures on the 4 sides of a boulder, caves and 2 structural temples, one on top of the hill. The Vardhamana temple at the ground level was renovated fully and the features of antiquity cannot be perceived. The structural temple is referred to as Maisutta Perumpalli and is datable to the 11th century AD. The dilapidated temple on the hilltop is being renovated. On the west of Tirakol, at a distance of about 10 kilometers, is the semi-town Desur, where there is a structural Jain temple under worship. In the vicinity of 4 kilometers is the small village called Siyamangalam. In the outskirts of this village, there are hillocks and Hindu cave temple established by Mahendravarman. In the hillocks, 2 Jain cave pallis were established by the western Ganga king Rajamallan II, datable to the 9th century AD. One of them is in good condition. This cave palli is at a height of 60 feet and a flight of steps leads to the cave entrance. The upper rock of the cave projects in the front. In this rock, there are 3 groups of sculptures, 2 of Tirthankaras and a 3rd one of Bahubali. The middle sculpture depicts the Kamada episode in the life of the 23rd Tirthankara, Lord Parshvanatha. The inscriptions of Rajamalla II refer to the hillock as Vidyadri and informs that Rajamalla established 2 cave pallis for Jinaraja, the Tirthankara. In the same record, the names of Dravida Sangha, Jinendra Sangha, Nandi Sangha and Arungalavanya and the name of the Mandalacharya Vajranandi Yogindra, who caused to be constructed a flight of steps to reach the cave palli, are mentioned. With this distinction, we backtrack to Desur. In Desur temple, recently a Manastamba, a monolith pillar in the front yard of the temple behind the Bali Peetham, was added. From Desur to Tellar, we come across a number of Jain villages. In Tellar itself, there is a structural temple and inscriptions. Nearby is Kudalur. Here, recently a tall sculpture of Lord Rishabha was consecrated by the chief of Kolhapur Jain Mutt in Maharashtra. The structural temple in the village is ancient and the front mandapam painted with important pilgrimage centers, the Siddha Kshetras. After Kudalur Darshan, we are on the road to Vandavasi. On both sides, small roads lead to villages with structural Jain temples. One such village is Yelangadu. The temple in the village is an ancient one with bronzes and sculptures. One of the bronzes, the idol of Lord Neminatha, is important. It is believed to be the idol worshipped in the Mylapore Jain temple. There is an inscription at the base of the idol in the Pitham. It informs that it belonged to Tirumailapuri and Acharya Jinasena's name is added. Another tradition points to the idol of Yakshi Dharmadevi, also from Mylapore temple. The Sarvana Yakshan was supposed to have dispatched to Jain Mutt at Sravanabelagola. Ponnur, Vangaram and Kirsatamangalam are the other villages nearby. The Kirsatamangalam was patronized by Nandivarman II, a Pallava king in the 8th century AD. This village near the town of Vandavasi has an ancient structural temple with a huge Manastamba and inscriptions. The inscriptions are seen on an open rock called Perumal Parai. They refer to the Lord Chandranatha temple as Vimalasri Arya Tirthapalli. The Chola king Parandaganda I, the Madurai Konda Koperungesari Varman, took Tondainadu from the Pallavas. Even during his rule, this Jain Palli received royal support. As we come out of Kirsatamangalam onto the Chetpet road, one can spot a hill called Neelagiri, the Ponnur Malai. Neelagiri is hallowed with the memories of Acharya Kunda, a leader of Jaina Agamic Renaissance. At the foot of the hills, there are complexes of structural modern temples under worship. The top of the hill is sanctified with the footprints of Acharya Kunda, who wrote Samayasara, Panchastikayasara, Pravasanasara and other 80 works. Tamil Jains believe him to be the author of Tirukkural. In commemoration of this, a Mani Mandapam has been constructed. There are 3 centers of worship in the foothills. Kunda Nagar. There is a Kunda ashram with Bhagavan Adinatha temple, Samavasarana temple and Yati Nivas. Vishakhacharya Tapovan is another center of religious activities with an 8-angled temple dedicated to Ajitanatha, the second Tirthankara. Another recently developed Kunda center is a Sri Mandaraswamy temple in Gujarati style. There is one more temple in the campus of Acharya Kunda, ITI, dedicated to Lord Munisvrata, the 20th Tirthankara. Neelagiri Hill is in the center of Jaina villages of the Vandavasi Taluk in the Tiruvannamalai district. Many families have migrated to the Vandavasi town. Here they have arranged a place of worship in the first floor of the Jain Chautri, the Mahavir Jain temple. Tamil Jain families living in the town visit this temple for daily worship. Most of the Jain villages in and around Vandavasi all belong to the ancient Venkundranadu. This division is based on the village with the same name, Venkundram. It is one of the Jain villages and 2 kilometers from Vandavasi. Here there is a structural temple under worship dedicated to Lord Parshvanatha. The architectural style of this temple in the present form belongs to the 15th and 16th century AD. There are a large number of bronzes of Tirthankaras and Yakshaks and Yakshinis. One of the Tirthankara sculptures placed inside a small mandapam in the east side of the prakara exhibits features of antiquity. The sculptural style points to the 8th century AD. It is said that this sculpture was brought from the nearby Vazhuvur. From Venkundram, another 5-kilometer travel, one can reach the Veera Kerala Perumpalli at the Salukkai. The inscription in Vishnu temple of this village informs that there existed a Jaina Palli. Bondi Muratpuli has consecrated the main idols in the Vishnu temple, Shiva temple, Veera Kerala Perumpalli and Ambala Nangai Durga temple. This inscription is dated in the Rajendra Chola rule in 1020 AD. He has also endowed lands and house plots for the employees' housing. At present, the only main deity, Lord Rishabha, is preserved and a new temple constructed and maintained by devotees of Pondicherry. In the year 1980, a rich collection of the copper idols were unearthed from the village and are kept in the Velur District Museum. The devotees are performing the puja to the Lord Rishabha and singing the devotional songs to the accompaniment of mantras. Pulavar Jambu Kumar is leading the devotees. In the border of the Tiruvannamalai district and near town Tiruvannamalai is a Somasipadi, another Jain village. A good number of Jain families live in the village and worship Lord Shantinatha in the ancient structural temple. Recently, a number of smaller shrines have been added for the Yakshas and Yakshis. A village called Vadudalakulam, a corrupt form of Vaduvilangundru, is seen at a distance of 20 kilometers north of Tiruvannamalai. There is a big cave with stone beds and a bas-relief of a Tirthankara in the Padmasana posture. The three-lined inscription tells that one has renovated the sculpture with mortar. It refers to the place by an old name, Mendarayur. The style of the script indicates that the inscription belongs to the 13th century AD. The Tirthankara is called Marudhu Pirasurai Devar in the inscription. The art style of the sculpture is earlier than the script style, so it is presumed that sculpture belongs to earlier period, most probably to the 8th and 9th century AD. It is possible that the damaged lines of the inscription contained the donor's name, which we are not able to know. Arani is the taluk with large number of Jain villages, next only to Vandavasi in Tiruvannamalai district. With Arani as a centre, there are a number of villages with Jain families. In the Arani town itself, there are 3 structural temples. On the Arani Arcot Road is the village with a 13th century structural temple. It is called Pundi Veera Veera Jinalaya. Till recently, annual Brahmotsava was conducted in this temple. The temple has a typical Jinalaya architecture with a number of shrines for Yakshis and Yakshas in the Prakara. The inscription in this temple belongs to a Sambhuvaraya chief, a vassal of a Chola king. There is a traditional story that 2 hunters, Idumban and Pandan, were instrumental in bringing out the importance of this temple. The site of the temple is called Irumbedu. Now the temple is in disrepair. The Moolavar is worshipped as Ponninadar. It is the name of the Mahavira in this temple. There is an artistically carved sculpture of Lord Parshvanatha in a separate enclosure. The Manastamba and Dwajastamba are prominent with the sculptural decorations. The Dharmadevi sculpture is having the art style of 13th century AD. The temple has an entrance gopura, wide prakara, vimana and Kalasthapana Mandapa with Pandukashila. There is a flight of steps to reach the open terrace that houses the Pandukashila. Tirunarungondai Hill Temple is in the southern end of Tondainadu and Thirumalai in the western end of Tondainadu. It is near Arani town on the Arani-Polur road. Thirumalai is the name of the hill as well as the village. The hill temple is Sri Shaila Kshetra. It is also referred to as Arahantagiri, Hills of Arhata, the Tirthankara, and Yenguna Iraivan Kundru, Hill of the Gods with 8 gunas in the inscriptions. Thirumalai village is about 12 kilometers from the Polur Taluk headquarters and about 25 kilometers from Arani. This Jain center has a continuous history since 8th century AD. There are natural caves in the hill and ancient paintings. The crest of the hills and at the top the structural temple complex is majestic monolith of Lord Neminatha, the 22nd Tirthankara, with serene look and is 16 feet tall, carved on the face of a big boulder. The temple complex presents a somewhat 3-tiered appearance. In the ground there is a structural temple called Kundavai Jinalaya. Above that, in a raised plain, is the Sri Neminatha temple, and to its left is the cave temple called Areikkovil, the cellular temple. And above all at top is the colossal image of Lord Neminatha and a small temple for Lord Parshvanatha. The topmost point of the hill is adorned with footprints of Acharyas. The lithic records in the center begin in 881 AD and continue up to 1373 AD and belong to Chola, Rashtrakuta, Adiyaman, Pandya, Sambhuvaraya and Vijayanagara periods. This Jain temple complex of Thirumalai attracted people from far and wide places and endowed with land grants and gold by the royal families as well as common man. The temple complex is under the care of the Archaeological Survey of India. Recently, a Jain mutt called Arahantagiri Jain mutt was established with Swasthi Sri Dhavalakirti Swamigal as the head of the mutt. Jain mutt renders educational and social service in that area. Lord Neminathar High School, Elementary School, Nursery School and Free Students Hostel are popular in the district. Tirupanmalai, known as Panchapandavamalai cave with sculptures. The sculpture of Dharmadevi is unique and exquisite. In the nearby district headquarters Velur town, there is a hill at Velappadi with large footprints and Kannada inscriptions. Other Jain center of antiquity are Narayanapuram caves and Chinnapalapakkam, where there is a Pallava inscription. This chain of Jain centers with Jaina vestiges ends at Vallimalai, the northernmost Jain center of Tamilnadu. It is near the village called Melpadi, about 15 kilometers from Gudiyatham, a taluk headquarters. The natural caves in this Vallimalai were carved with Jaina sculptures during the rule of Western Ganga king Rajamalla II in the 9th and 10th centuries AD. One of the natural caves with Tirthankara sculptures was taken over by the Hindus and converted into a Murugan temple. And today, Vallimalai, the name of the hill, has become the name of the village. There are two groups of sculptures in the cave on the right side by the Murugan temple. And a little beyond the Murugan temple on the left side also, there is a cave with a massive Tirthankara sculpture and a panel of sculptures. In the more prominent cave, with a flight of steps on the right side, there is a sculpture of Lord Parshvanatha, other Tirthankaras and Yakshi and Yakshas. These sculptures are massive in Ganga style. At the rim of the cave, there are small sculptures representing the Acharyas, with Kannada label inscriptions below them. The inscriptions and the sculptures at Vallimalai point to the popularity of Jainism with the royal support of the Gangas during the 9th and 10th centuries AD. In addition to the massive Tirthankara sculptures, the Acharya sculptures are also seen. It is a rare and unique feature of Vallimalai. Kanchipuram, 75 kilometers from Chennai, was called Kanchi in ancient days and was the capital of the Pallavas. It became a stronghold of Jainism in the medieval period and continued to be a Jaina epicenter for centuries. A colony of the Jains established at the place called Tirupparuttikundram, also known as Jinakanchi, as compared to Shivakanchi and Vishnukanchi. It is on the southern bank of the river Vegavati and about 4 kilometers southwest of the present town Kanchipuram. Jinakanchi Jain temple received endowments, the Palli Chandams from the Pallava, Chola and Vijayanagar kings. There are two temples at Jinakanchi dedicated to the 24th Tirthankara Lord Vardhamana Mahavira, locally worshipped as Trilokyanatha, the god of three worlds, and the other to the 8th Tirthankara Lord Chandraprabha. Both the temples date back to the Pallava period. The Pallava king Simhavarman in the 6th century AD had granted the village Amanaserkai and the lands in the village Damar, now called Damal, to the reputed Acharya Vajranandi for conducting worship to the Jina at Vardhamana temple. In the 12th century AD, Vardhamana temple was considerably enlarged with additional shrines for Dharmadevi and Pushpadanta, the 9th Tirthankara, and a separate group of shrines for Tirthankaras Padmaprabha, Vasupujya and Parshvanatha. The Sangeeta Mandapa of this temple complex was built in 1387 by Irugappa, the famous general of the Vijayanagar king Bukka II. The ceiling of the Sangeeta Mandapam contained 2 layers of paintings painted during the Vijayanagara and the Nayaka rules. The earlier layer has disappeared and the second layer depicting the Panchakalyana Garbhavadharna, womb, Janma, birth, Parinishkrama, renunciation, Kevalgnan, omniscience, Parinirvana, liberation, Moksha incidents in the life of Rishabha, Neminatha, Mahavira and Ambika Yakshi. The paintings were restored and renovated recently with modern paints. The Vardhamana temple is flanked by the Trikuda Basti, temple with 3 sanctum sanctorums. The Vimanas over the Sanctum Sanctorum depict the three different styles. In the Prakara on the west, there is a Kora tree with a platform and a few footprints. They were established in memory of the reputed Acharyas who lived in Jinakanchi. Among the famous Acharyas, Sri Vamana Muni was the author of Merumandra Purana in Tamil. He is also supposed to have written a Tamil commentary for Acharya Kundakunda's Samayasara in Prakrit and a commentary for Nilakesi, a Tamil Kavya. The monastic establishment is called Jinakanchi Mutt. Those Acharyas adorned the pontificate at different periods of time. Today, the Jinakanchi Mutt functions from Melsittamur near Sinji in Vidupuram district. Karandai Tiruppanamur, the twin Jain villages, and Arpakam and Karuppankundru near Madurantakam with stone beds, sculptures and inscriptions. Karandai is 20 kilometers from Kanchipuram. It is hallowed with memories of the great logician Acharya Akalanka. The Jain temple is called Akalanka Basti. Karandai generally means dwelling of Munis. That is why the Karandai is also called Munigiri. Karandai and Tiruparambur in olden days formed a single unit. Only recently, the southern part is referred as Karandai and the northern part as Tiruparambur with a small temple. There is a tank in between. Karandai Jain temple is a complex with separate shrines for Lord Kundanada, the 17th Tirthankara, Lord Mahavira, the 24th Tirthankara, Lord Rishabha, the 1st Tirthankara, Ambika, the Dharmadevi, Yakshi of Lord Neminatha, the 22nd Tirthankara. The central shrine is that of Lord Kuntunatha. The main idol is made of mortar and exquisitely painted with the scenes of receptions by the Devendra on his white elephant. The inscriptions of Pallava king Nandivarman III indicates that this shrine belongs to the 9th century AD. At the back of this shrine, there is a small shrine for Lord Parshvanatha, the Peruman of the west. Flanking on the right side is the Vardhamana temple at a higher elevation with a flight of steps. This temple is referred to as Yeruvarasai Kovil. The image is colourfully painted with Chamara Devis and a narrow circumambulatory is seen. On the left flank is the shrine of Lord Rishabha. It has a circular base. The Dharmadevi shrine has a separate prakara, Mukhamandapa, Arthamandapa and Sanctum Sanctorum. The ceiling of Mukhamandapa is painted. Near the entrance on the right side of the eastern wall is a slab with Kamandala, sculpture of a Muni and footprints. In front of this slab, a mandapam was built. It is the memorial of Acharya Akalanka. In addition to this, a Nisiddhi mandapam with footprints is seen on the bank of the tank. The inscriptions in this temple refer to it as Veera Rajendra Perumpalli, and Karandai was called Tirukamakotam. Lord Mahavira was hailed as Tirukatampalli Alvar. Tirupanambur is a big village with more Jain families living at present. There is a temple dedicated to the 9th Tirthankara, Sri Pushpadanta. 3 of the natives of this village took Sallekana, the fast unto death. Sri Dharmasagara Swami took Sallekana at Sravana Belagola in 1940. His son Sri Sudharmasagar attained Salleka Samadhi at Gajabandha near Nasik in Maharashtra in 1973. And Sri Gajapati Sagar embraced Sallekana in Tirupannamur itself in 1988. The footprints of all the 3 are installed in this temple and worshipped. During the annual festival, the Brahmotsava at Karandai, float festival of Dharanendra Padmavati is celebrated in Tirupannamur tank. It is the only Jain center where float festival is celebrated. Arpakam is another Jain center in the vicinity of Kanchipuram. It is the Prarthana center of Jains of this part where they celebrate the ear-boring ceremony of their children. The temple is dedicated to Lord Rishabha, locally called Adi Pattalkar. This village is unique in having Shiva, Vishnu and Jaina temples. Udichi Tevar, a native of this village, has written a poetic work, Tirukalampakam, in which he prays to Lord Neminada, the 22nd Tirthankara of the Jain temple in Mylapore, a part of Chennai city. Karupangundru, a hillock of Onampakam near Madurantakam of Kanchipuram district has Jaina sculpture, caves, stone beds and inscriptions. The lithic record and sculptural style belong to the 7th and 8th centuries AD. There are 3 sculptures of Sri Adinatha, the first Tirthankara, Sri Parshvanatha, the 23rd Tirthankara. Sri Adinatha and Sri Mahavira sculptures are seen on the face of the rock on the way that leads to the cave. At a little distance from these sculptures, there is a big boulder. On this boulder, there is a niche in which the Kamada episode of Lord Parshvanath is sculptured. Near this sculpture, there is an inscription in Grantha script. It resembles the inscriptions of the Pallava period. On the basis of this, it is assigned to the 8th century AD. The Kosta structure with Lord Parshvanatha is called a Devaram in inscription. Acharya Vasudeva Siddhanta Bhattarar caused this Devaram to be sculpted. Jaina vestiges in the center prove that the Jainism prevailed here from 3rd or 4th century AD, and the Jaina monks lived in the caves continuously, and in the 7th century AD the sculptures were sculpted. Bharatavarshiya Digambar Jain Tirtha Samrakshini Mahasabha is making fervent efforts for the fullest possible video documentation of these heritage sites.